Hare Krishna and greetings from Govardhan in the winter. Okay, reading from Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 3, Text 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Pāñca-bhautikatātītaṁ. Sva-dehaṁ kalayan raveḥ. Nirbhidya maṇḍalaṁ gacchann. Ūrdhvaṁ lokān. Vyalokayam. I then saw my body change into a form transcendental to the five material elements. And as I traveled upward, breaking through the sphere of the sun, I saw all the planetary systems. Purport: Gopa Kumar saw his own body change from a product of the material elements into a transcendental body. To achieve this perfection, he was not forced to die, to give up one body in exchange for another. Rather, his body became refined so that he was able to travel through the coverings of the universe and enter the abode of liberation. The doorway to liberation is the sun, which accomplished celibates and Vaishnavas pass through on their way out of the material world. Gopkumar broke through the sphere of the sun and traveled upward, seeing all 14 worlds as he passed beyond them. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from Govardhan. So let's catch up Gopkumar's travel. Tattva established in the first chapter, Bhagavad Kripa Sar, the essence, who has the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And now we follow the journey, not just to find out who's the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, but to actually achieve that oneself. So Gopkumar and his journey, we can remember his journey, and he wound up on Brahmalok, the highest planet in this universe. And I keep on repeating those four things because it's interesting. He was completely detached from the management, but he was disturbed by it, had some fear of the temporality of the material world, and he was hankering for Braj. It's a very interesting point because you can achieve a certain perfection and go further according to your internal nature, but you may be somewhat satisfied at a particular platform until you're not. And that's what happens to Gop Kumar constantly. But anyway, maybe because there was some hankering for liberation because of the fear of death and the dissatisfaction in the service he had of management, which is such a headache. Maybe the Bhakti Shastras overheard and started to preach about liberation. And then we know the Bhakti Shastras established that the ultimate liberation is surupena vivastita, is bhakti. And somehow or other, because Gop Kumar is, well, and somehow or other, after this whole dissertation practically, they recommend Mahakalapur. And somehow or other, even though it's the abode of liberation where people do go to merge, there's still, God is still there. And for those who are qualified, he can manifest in even a more brilliant form than Mahapurush. There's one God, but according to the intimacy of our relationship, and this is the science of relationship, he may manifest himself more, just as we may give ourselves more to something. Of course, God gives himself fully, Akila Rasamrita Murti in Braj, and the height of that is called the love of the gopis, and the topmost gopi is Srimati Radharani, who's the Purna Shakti, and the essence of the pleasure potency on steroids, practically. Her love, which is the essence of the Ladini Shakti, is love of Godhead. She has the most love. But anyway, he's thinking if bhakti is the best, he's already on Satyaloka, and he has the association of God, at least in his form of Mahavishnu. He's developed an intimate relationship with Mahavishnu. But Mahavishnu somehow go to Braj. Now, why go to Braj when Mahakalapur is recommended? So this is what I understand, that somehow or other, to go to the spiritual world, what is bhakti? Anyabhilashita shunyam. This is what people misunderstand about Madhurya Ras, because it has the form of lust, even though there's no lust, it's just a form. The form in terms of our frame of reference, it's boy and girl, but it's anyabhilashita shunyam. It's for the pleasure of God. There's no selfish sense. So there's two ways to come. Some desires we have to renounce, and some desires we have to regulate or engage. But one way we have to get rid of desires, and therefore somehow or other, even though Gop Kumar has this outstanding bhakti, or this natural feeling, both from him living in Braj or being a Brijbasi, but meeting a Mahabhagavat devotee who is so transcendental that he initiated him, and then in ecstasy he disappeared. So, so, and whatever direction you're going, you need guidance. In whatever direction you're going, you need guidance. And you need to do things properly and more effectively. And you have to be guided by your buddhi, your intelligence. Of course, your heart, but the heart can move in a more directed way if it's given the guidance of understanding. So somehow they tell him to go back to Braj. And somehow it's almost go back to Braj. You will meet your guru and you will become more educated and more qualified to ascend. And somehow he's in this process of ascending to one place after another. And what is happening, and what happens when you study the Bhagavatam from the first canto? To ascend to Braj, to ascend to the 10th canto, you have to have your desires purified and your intelligence, your desires purified and your intelligence purified, both. They work hand in hand. If your desires are not purified, you'll tend to see Krishna's pastimes as mundane. And if your intelligence is not purified, you'll tend to see them as phantasmagorical. So these things have to be purified. And then you have to transcend. And there's descriptions of the soul. Of course, sometimes one can surrender. I always make that you can't surrender in the past, you can't surrender in the future, you have to surrender now. There's a famous story of the Gordian knot. Prabhupada tells this story that there's this knot that's tied, and I think it's to get the bride, I forgot, or win the kingdom or something. But no one could untie this knot. And Alexander the Great came by and he took out his sword and he just cut it. So that's the process of surrender completely. And we see it's rare. And we see how much at the beginning of the movement, Prabhupada pushed it. And if you could make it, what doesn't kill you, what is it, makes you stronger. And devotees really got something by that kind of surrender. And some it was too difficult to even stay in the Krishna consciousness movement. But anyway, he needs to go on this path. He needs to fulfill his ambitions. He needs to have his intelligence purified. And the abode of liberation is just before Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. I'm studying with Dhanurdhara Swami when he goes to Vaikuntha, and the descriptions of Vaikuntha are mind-blowing, much more revelatory than what's described in the Bhagavatam. And basically it tells you, don't even try to describe them. There's no frame of reference for the pleasure of consciousness when you're actually situated in Vaikuntha. He says, don't even try to understand it. Just understand it. So you may understand. Okay, the Supreme Lord, you could say he's the Christ the King. But it's got to be much more than the King. But that's the only word we have to describe a superior person of authority. But a king, maybe God is the authority of everything. Just that conception of God, that being of which no greater can be conceived, beyond the modes of nature, in everyone's heart, in everyone's atom. Not a blade of grass moves without his will, with all wonderful qualities in full. There's an entryway. There's an entryway to, maybe it's the last snare of Maya, or we can look at it as purifying ourselves of all anartha, artha of value, anartha of things that have no value. Anyway, he goes back to Braj, and just as and Mahavishnu said, no, go to Braj, that's also me. But it's me in a way that's revealing myself inconceivably more than even you're experiencing now. So you go to Braj, and then there's this question of the mind. Because when you travel interdimensionally, there's no physical way to actually approach it. We're talking about God. Pantastu koti satavatsura sampagamyo vayora tapi manasomani. By the speed of mind, for millions of years, you can't go there. God is controlling everything, and it's consciousness. If we want God, we have God. It's as simple as that. But we don't want God. We want to be God. And we still have that God complex and the misconception that happiness will be achieving that position of control, where things move according to my desire, where the world's completely set up according to the way I want it for me. And that shift of consciousness from subject to object. I'm not the center. I'm the object of the center. It's a complete shift, because in our consciousness now, we are in the center. In love, something else, somebody else is in the center. You know, when I would chant in my room, my back is now to Govardhan. But if I face this way, Govardhan Hill is less than 50 meters. I can see him from my ashram very clearly. So I used to chant, and when I was chanting facing Govardhan, I tried to shift the consciousness. I tried to be in the periphery. I tried to be the object. Anyway, these things have to be purified, and God is working in so many ways to do it. Our destiny, our karma, is God educating ourselves to understand things that we can't understand just by our own intellect. We need an experience. Karma gives us an experience to be purified, that we can't have just by our own understanding or learning, because we haven't. Otherwise, if we understood it, God wouldn't have to create the experience to teach us. Anyway, he goes and he meets his guru. And because of the transcendental system, the Paramatma is in everyone's heart. So sometimes you just know without the intellect, by the heart. It happened to me too. I was supposed to meet a person, etc. I was in New Jersey, etc. And then Super Soul told me, go to the door, the person must be here. And sure enough, he knocked on the door. I didn't hear it. If I didn't go to the door, the person was just waiting in their car outside. Anyway, he meets his guru. His guru understands that he wants more knowledge. I explained that, I think I explained it Sunday. Maybe it was Tuesday or whatever day I gave class. That faith is required. Because without faith, there's no way to endeavor to understand things that are true, but are beyond the way we see them now. So without guru, without spiritual authority, we're limited in our understanding to our own frame of reference. And the absolute truth is much bigger than us. And if we want to understand it, we're going to have faith in someone who's tattva darshan, who sees the truth, who understands more than us. So anyway, his guru understands his heart, and then because he was in ecstasy, there was foam coming out of his mouth. He went to bathe in the ocean. He came back, and he instructed him in that mantra that he had. He had the mantra before, and it was very powerful. But it's supercharged when you have the mantra with the understanding how to utilize it. Something may be very, very valuable. Just like, I have a computer, I can't complain. It's so wonderful I'm able to give classes like this. Where before, it was, you got to see the person in person. The Krishna consciousness movement is hearing and chanting more than ever before. So his guru instructs him, and then his guru disappears. And he laments, but with the knowledge, there's a value of something, and then there's the utilization of it. So it's much more sharp, it's much more effective, and somehow or other he's so qualified that he saw his body change. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tajantyante kalevaram tam tame vaiti konteya sadatad bhav. Whatever you're thinking at the time of death, to that nature you will go. So the face is the index of the mind. But body can change. Just like my face now is red because I slept in the sun. But if you're angry, you can also get red. The blues, you get dark. Yellow with fright, yellow with cowardice, white with fright. Each color has some corresponding emotion. So his body transforms, and it's a result of the change in the subtle body. Then the gross body begins to manifest, to fit. It's like a glove. Is your subtle body, and then the gross body fits. So you create your gross body by the subtle body. And somehow or other, with his purity and his power, he immediately begins to travel upwards. Dushitam bahudoshena sukabhasena bhushitam mayam mano raja swapna dristartha sammitan. I saw that those planets, tainted by many faults, adorned me with mere reflections of happiness. I saw that these planets, tainted by many faults, adorned with mere reflections of happiness, but were products of illusion, and no better than what one sees in a flight of fancy or a dream. So what's going to be described here, and it's quite inconceivable, that each time he goes to a different planetary system, each time that he crosses a particular layer of the universe, the happiness is a million times better. And what I understand is, to the degree that happiness can be, that things can be used for Krishna, the facility of those things may increase. Of course, Krishna may also take them away to make us detached. So, purport: the attractions one sees in a daydream or night dream exist only in one's mind, and even that private existence is brief. And the reality one sees while awake is shared and persistent. Yet within the material universe, all the worlds are dreamlike shadows of spiritual reality. Their happiness but a shadow of real happiness. There's that term, maya sukhaya, illusory happiness. And we can see so clearly that as material civilization is advancing, at least in our lives, people are more tense and anxiety and depressed than ever before. So it's an illusion of material existence that it's advancing one, because real advancement has to be consciousness. Because real happiness is consciousness. And advancement of anything has to have an objective, and the objective has to be happiness. And we can see that things are becoming technically more advanced, but the quality of life hasn't increased. So, actually, I did nirjal yesterday in Ekadasi, and I did not nap. So I may become brain dead during the class, but I'm trying to get through it. It's an interesting phenomenon. Some pretty amazing things. Purvam ye bahukalena samprapta kramasoduna sarve nameshita kranta yugipan manasevate. The planets I had early attained one by one over a long period of time, I now crossed in the blink of the eye, as if the power of my mind. Purport: Gop Kumar had visited Swarga, Maha, Tapas, and Satya, and stayed for a while on each of these planets. Now he was passing over these same planets at the speed of mind. It may be said that since these planets are nothing more substantial than assemblages of the gunas of material nature, they no longer appear independently real to someone who has subdued his mind. So in this case, passing out of this universe is but an effort of the mind. But since Gop Kumar physically broke through the sphere, through the sphere of the sun, he did not have to exert himself. Therefore, the qualification, even as if, is here added to the word manasa by the mind. So, There's description in the second canto of this kind of liberation journey, which is required for some people, either because of, anyway, but as you advance, the advancement is the mind. The mind carries you to a place according to your desires, and the desires anchor you to a particular place. And when you pull up that anchor, then you can proceed. So someone at this very, very advanced level, he's going through them really quickly, as if the power of the mind, because he still has his mind, but he's not influenced by it. Now I reach the coverings of the universe, each of them more so than the one before, with rich enjoyments and opulences millions of times greater than on Brahmaloka. Millions of times, and why not? But what is that enjoyments, rich opulence, millions and millions of times? It's not necessarily material. In the spiritual world, Chintamani Prakrasad Masu Kalpaviksha Lakshe Briteshu Surabir Apipaliyantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Savyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So much opulence in Goloka Vrindavan. But it's not constructed for enjoyment, it's constructed for service. So the more you're inclined to service, the more you can handle. And I always tell this story, 1971, the basement of the Brooklyn Temple, 50, 60 brahmacharis taking prasadam, all very, very quietly. And then there's that tape where someone's described Prabhupada's class, that we can take over the world in 18 days if all my disciples became Krishna conscious. Because if you're not Krishna conscious and you're given power and opulence, it will degrade you. You'll become attached to it, and you'll also become attached to the conception that I am controlling, and I am enjoying, and I am superior. So you can't ascend in the universe, or you can ascend in the universe going to the ultimate goal only by the process of transcending particular desire. So somehow it's richer and richer with material opulence. Oh, but I'm getting back to what Prabhupada said, I understood. Right at that, I understand, yes. We're not going to get it in 18 days, because we're not all Krishna conscious at all. And it would destroy our spiritual lives rather than enhance it. So Krishna, if he's merciful for you, he'll either take away your material opulence so that there's nothing left but God, or he'll give you a lot because to serve him. It's so interesting in the spiritual world, the intensity, because love is to please, and to please means through the senses or the mind, including the mind. Yeah, it's brain dead because of the previous thought. Let's just read on. Purport, each covering of the universe is 10 times greater than the one before it, and millions of times greater in enjoyment and opulence. So, to ascend, you have to be increasingly more detached. Karyopadim atikrantai praptavya krama muktikai lingakyam karanopadim atikramatam atmavi pravishyatat rupena pujamanani kamata tatat udbhava nishesha sukasara mayanihi. Souls who have transcended, listen to this, the false attributes of created things. The upadim, the potency, the false attributes of created things. Created things have a utility. And in other words, they can either be used for service or material enjoyment. And everything in the world is meant for liberation. But our illusion is we see that as part of our field of activities to become the enjoyers and controllers. Souls who have transcended the false attributes of creative things and who aspire for gradual liberation, because they still have ambitions, strive to go beyond the causative elements of creation, elements found again as false attributes in what is known as the subtle body. To do this is mind-blowing. They enter the shell formed of each element. They enter in a body composed of that element and enjoy to their full desire the essence of pleasure that had to be there. I guess it's an experience that allows you to give it up somehow or other. Because these souls are not just ignorant. They have a spiritual discrimination. Purport, wow, when a jiva on his way out of the material universe passes through its coverings, avarana, he is provided a body made of the subtle element he's passing through. Yeah, because Prabhupada said, there's a sun god, but you have to have a fire body. Otherwise, mere proximity to these concentrated masses of elementary energy would destroy the body at once. That's why you really can't get prem in this life. You can get bhava in this life, because this body cannot contain the force of prema. So if you practice Krishna consciousness sincerely and you attain the level of bhava, which is prem ankur, it's a sprout of prem. If you get that, yeah, it's I can see. It's just there's so much mental fatigue because of fasting Nirjala Ekadasi and then breaking it, not taking rest. So I lose the train of thought. Well, we'll rev up again. In each successive covering, the jiva finds wonderful opportunities for more refined material enjoyment. Since the material creation exists mainly for the jiva's enjoyment, these original reservoirs of material elements brim with resources for pleasure. The grosser objects produced from the causal elements, earth, water, fire, and so on, are great sources of sense gratification for conditioned living beings, and the superior subtle forms of matter afford even better sense enjoyment. In the covering formed of each element, pleasures from combination of all the elements are available, just as inside the universe. But in each covering form, in the covering form of a particular element, that element predominates. In each of the coverings, more happiness is found than in Brahmaloka, and in each consecutive covering offers more happiness than ones before. So I guess it's kind of like a test of leading the universe. Do you want to be the enjoyer or controller or not? Well, here's even more pleasure on that level, and here's even more pleasure in that level. And you have to come to the point that all I want is service. Deep, deep in your consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Akila Rasamrita Murti, the embodiment. What is bhakti? Akila Rasamrita Murti. Who is Krishna? Akila Rasamrita Murti, the full embodiment of all love. Okay, for today I have to end because the mind is not working to the degree, but Jamuna Jaya, any point you could get out of this to kind of share with us? Maybe we'll have some discussion.
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you so
Is it
much for
St.
class.
Patrick's
Thank you
Day?
for what?
Is it St. Patrick's Day?
Well, I live with an Irishman, so it's always going to say
Oh,
Patrick's Day around.
that's right. That's right.
It's always going to say Patrick's Day around here. I really love the point of saying that the truth lies beyond our own knowledge. I love that then that's why we have to have faith, because it may lie beyond our own perception. That's really where the truth lies.
Right, like you go to a doctor and they give a prescription. That's true, but you don't have knowledge of it. And unless you apply it, you'll never find out it's true. So you can't increase your knowledge unless you have faith.
Yeah.
And that's why there's faith in guru, faith in teacher, because you can't increase it. Your old judgment will be, is what my present perception is. And if it doesn't coincide with our perception and our desires, we will reject it as true.
Mm.
You can't, there's no way around it. Faith is William James, faith is the precursor of knowledge. You have to have that before you have any knowledge.
Mm.
That's why people who are independent, completely arrogant, these kind of qualities, they just are mirrored in their own ignorance. And they may even be scholars, they may be academics, whatever. But they'll never actually be able to understand. What to speak of Tesham Satatayuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi, that Dadami Buddhi, God gives us in the heart knowledge. Sarvasya Chahamani Sani Vishto Matasmitya Ganam Apoanam Cha. I'm situated in every heart. For me comes remembrance and knowledge. So there's a certain thing of this faith in hearing the truth that inspires you with the truth in ways beyond the capabilities of your own understanding. It inspires you.
Mm.
Okay, thanks, Jamuna Jaya. Where do you go today?
Gosh.
You doing
Say what?
any teaching today?
Yeah, today is I don't teach until later in the evening. So Wednesdays are a little bit like my Saturdays.
Right.
So I don't go
Okay,
until
great.
later.
Great. Okay. Gail? Haribo?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had to
Yeah.
put on my camera today because both Jamuna Jaya and I are celebrating St. Patrick's Day. It looks like.
Wait a
I'm giving
second.
you that.
Gail, wait a
Yes.
second. By the way, I'm going to
Rip.
take, Gail, I'm going to take prasadam with your daughter. She doesn't even know yet.
Really? Where?
I'm going to Mayapur, and Neelam Bari said, what if we invite Shameshwara for Prasadam when you come to Prasadam?
Oh. And she was so looking forward. Did she reach out to you? She said she was going to, so that you
What?
two can. Said I was wondering if she reached out to you. She said she was going to reach out to you, so that you
Okay.
two can meet. You know.
I'd love to meet Shameshwari.
Yeah,
What
but
a
it's
dynamo.
interesting how Krishna made that arrangement, because she was supposed to reach out to you so that you could meet up, and
Come
now
on.
Neelam.
What a dynamo she is.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
Huh?
totally, totally.
All the gurus know her, you know. It's like
She is
she
so, as they say, fired up in Krishna consciousness. Totally fired up. My God.
she is by the
And
grace.
she's actually, Maharaj, you're the first to know, aside from my husband, who is, you know, I don't know, we're going to have to send him to the hospital. She wants me to come out to Mayapur for a few weeks, and that's sending him over the edge, you know. But yeah,
Well,
so
who's that
she's
in the
hoping that
background? Wait, I know her.
he sees you, Ayani.
That's too bad. Where is she? I have to say hello.
I don't know if she feels.
Okay.
She's feeling
She
shy.
doesn't have to. What?
She's she's just not prepared for
Anyway, tell her I saw her
online
anyway.
Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, she knows. You know. But Maharaj,
Okay.
I have a couple of questions for you, and your weekend condition. Are you ready? Can you be
Yeah,
ready?
but you missed quite a program on Saturday.
Yeah, I got the reviews. I got the reviews, but it could not be helped. It could not be helped. There were too many obstacles, you know,
Okay, go ahead. What's your
on the way.
question? Go ahead.
Okay, one is, since you keep repeating this line, I just want to make sure that I understand that properly. When you say that, we can't surrender in the past, we can't surrender in the future, right? We can't surrender in the past because that doesn't count for the present. You got to
Yeah,
surrender now, and the future is not here yet, so that also doesn't count,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you have to do it in the present. I mean, am I missing anything, or
Well, I'm just saying it's basically English saying trust no future, however pleasant.
because it might not happen, no?
Right, right. So
Mhm.
it's just funny, you know. I went when Kirtananda was staying in the Bhakti Center before they got him out. I went there with Radhanath Swami, and he had a way. He was living in the Bhakti Center. They had to get him out. They offer him something, not kick him out, but they made an arrangement. So he had a way, if you knew him, of short, powerful sentences. So we went in there. He just looked up and he said, "Can't surrender in the past, can't surrender in the future. You have to surrender now."
Uh,
Of
uh,
course, you
uh,
can surrender in the future, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
when you have that kind of consciousness, at a particular point, you're going to have to surrender now. It's just like I can tell you the story. When I visit Mayapur and I stay with Yugala and Jagadish, they have my own quarters on the roof of their building they built for me. It's beautiful. And, I take prasadam and they cook so nicely. So it's like already I'm saying it's so much because every day I'm invited to a different place for prasadam every single day. Neelam Bari is also a very excellent cook, excellent.
wow. What
So
can't
every
she
time
do?
I'm invited to a new place, right? And
Mm.
every time I'm invited to a new place, I'm saying, "Oh my God, I have to stop." So my friend told me he was joking. A way to stop is when before you go to bed, you put a sign right on the ceiling that says, "Tomorrow I will fast." So
Yeah,
the
I know
joke
the story.
is you wake up in the morning and you see the sign and it says,
And it never
"Tomorrow I
happens.
will fast." So it never happens.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So,
I've
okay,
heard.
give me your question. Go ahead. Oh,
Yeah,
that's one.
so yeah, that was one, and also, well, I've heard that, or we know that there are different levels of prema, right?
Yeah.
But there are those lower levels that the body can accommodate. No, the higher the ones, no, but isn't it?
Uh, well, bhava is prem encore. It's the sprout
Yeah, but
of
beyond
prem.
bhava,
No,
beyond
my
bhava.
understanding is body cannot contain prema, that you have to go to Krishna's planet. And when you go to Krishna's planet, then when Krishna calls, the separation, from being held back burns up the last tinges
Hmm.
of desire. My understanding is because it's not like it's a low level of prema. I mean, prema is prema.
No, no,
It's
no,
like
but there are gradations. There are gradations, right?
there are gradations,
Anyway,
but my
I've
idea is
heard. Mhm,
once you come to the body can only contain bhava.
mhm. Okay, so I still have to get this reconciled. Anyway, one last thing, Maharaj,
Yeah.
is what's so mind blowing about a person going from one elemental ring of the universe to another?
Because it's if you read Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, each level swagaloka, heavenly planets, but beyond that there is tapaloka, janaloka, satyaloka, and each one has more and more pleasure and more happiness. And then it says when you're leaving the universe, right? Then it's a million times more. And then each element is, so it's mind blowing. Let's say,
The level of pleasure is mind blowing.
let's say you're going through the, 44,000 billion miles or 40,000 billion miles of water. So what it's saying here, that's taste. So
No, I can't.
imagine,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And because it's all connected with God, there's no limitation. What the
Hmm.
senses could be. And even here, that's why I'm saying this ascent. What he's saying here is, um, I've reached the covering the universe, each of them more so than one before, was rich with enjoyments and opulences millions of times greater than Brahmaloka. And each covering is 10 times greater than one before, and millions of times greater in enjoyment. That
Hmm.
has to be mind blowing.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
in Brindavan, there's an Italian lady who's dedicated herself to gourmet Italian cooking for the Vaishnavas.
Hmm.
And I happen to know her very well. She only buys organic ingredients. I don't think anyone in the world can make pizza like hers. I swear.
Mm.
Or lasagna, everything freshly made ice cream. So there's always higher and higher levels of pleasure because it's Krishna and he's unlimited. Okay. All right. Let me say hello to, we always say,
Thank you,
Denny, how you
Maharaj.
doing?
Oh, my favorite.
What's that?
I said, good morning, Maharaj. How are you today?
What did you say? How am I?
Yes.
Yeah, doing great. You're in your truck?
Yeah. Sorry if it's hard to hear.
Okay. Well, thanks for
But
coming on, and being
I
such
had
a
a,
regular listener.
oh, yes, yes. I listen to you when I hang up. I just go watch more videos on YouTube. But
Thank you so much.
I had a question. So I'm reading a book called Disorders of the Mind, of Personality, I'm sorry, which is about, mental health on the mind. And do you disagree or do you agree with silent meditation without chanting? Like when I practiced Buddhism, we did a lot of Zen meditation, walking meditation, like Thich Nhat Hanh, if you know who Thich Nhat Hanh is, and
I agree with it.
it seems to help a lot.
It depend. It really depends on the objective, because the objective is usually not God.
Mm,
It's freeing oneself from suffering, and which is based in the mind.
right.
And but they study the mind, so they actually have a lot of knowledge of the mind. It's
Yes.
just like if someone sometimes someone has a psychological problem and it prevents their relationships with devotees, their relationships with their family, or they can't figure out how to get out of a codependent relationship. And
Yes.
sometimes people can teach you patterns of the mind that
Hmm.
help. The problem is when it becomes your religion.
Yes. 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 Yes.
That's the problem. But our philosophy is yukta vairagya, whatever you
Hmm.
can use in devotion. But the goal should not be liberation,
Right.
which means we're suffering so much in this world that our goal becomes to end suffering, not to
Yes.
serve God.
Right.
So, yeah. And there's also Jnana Mishra Bhakti, that our goal can be bhakti, but we could work on ourselves in various ways. We can work on our health, we can work on our mind. Prabhupada also said, the mind it's like the body. So you have medicine for the body, you have medicine for the mind.
Yes.
And
I was always told that the mind is one of the most dangerous things that we
it is,
consume
if
in
you
our
can't
life.
control it.
And that's what I'm trying to work on again, and when I practice Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, the Dhammapada, everything, and I understand we didn't, believe in God, we believed in our own self. But the silent meditation always helped me. But now when I do the silent meditation, I have to chant before or chant after, to get myself back.
Right, you have to. Okay, Denny, thanks a lot. Nice to speak
Thank
to
you,
you.
Maharaj. Thank you.
Thanks for coming to class. We really appreciate it.
Always. I love you, man. I love you.
Okay, okay. Thanks so much. Okay, Sadat, thank you so much I have a face. I wish more people would give a face when I give class. But after class, maybe I'll call you in 10 minutes. We'll talk about the work, okay? You'll be available?
Hi, Krishna.
Okay.
Yes, sure.
Okay, good. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello? You just there. Haribo. Okay. Okay. Good.
Gosh,
Seeing all the
my
faces.
my
That's
obeisance.
nice.
It's nice seeing you.
Okay. Haribo, nice to see you. Okay. I have Sabyasachi back with me, which is
He
great.
he has been sending so many videos. It's great. I feel like I'm with him every
Not
day.
only, not only videos, but he really has a lot of wisdom.
Oh yes, yes.
And he's here and he's helping out, fixing up everything. Came in here and made one shelf. And so it's good to have him for a couple of weeks. Okay.
Haribo.
Haribo, Sri Radhika. And
Hi,
Hi,
Krishna
Krishna
Maharaj.
Maharaj. Thanks for the class.
Thank you for the class.
your place seems so warm with that wood.
It is.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming in class. I see your regulars too. Okay, I'm going to look at the list of people that are attending the class, and I think we have our regular group, and I thank everyone who's coming. Hey, Sri Rupa, nice to see you.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
You're in school now?
Yes.
Thank you for that program. It looked pretty ecstatic. you
Oh,
know?
the community really came together so nicely. It was wonderful.
Right. And were a lot of those people his people, or people that they brought, or
I would say they were a good half were his people.
and the other half?
Us.
Just us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it was
good.
really sweet. We got a lot of
And
nice feedback from it.
yeah, they wrote you or they told you?
Yeah, they wrote me. A couple of the devotees wrote me and told me how nice it was. The prasadam was wonderful. That the association, it was just such a sweet program
From their group of people.
from their group of people.
Can you send me those messages?
Yeah, I'll send that to you, Maharaj.
Okay, great. All right. So they really enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, they really, really had a nice time. They were really
Well,
pleased.
they can come to other programs we do if they want to.
Yeah, I added one or two people to the Metro Mantra Sanga. Some of them live a little far. Some of them are from, I think, South Carolina.
Oh, they came up, some people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, he's developing a nice relationship with our community. Those video messages were really nice.
Yeah, they were sweet. Yeah, he was
He's,
really appreciative.
yeah, he's appreciative. Yeah, it's Satyaraj. I'll send you what Satyaraj wrote me,
Oh, that
and
would be nice.
he doesn't give words cheaply.
No, he does not.
He was over the moon. I saw you had him sitting, not exactly in, but at the cusp.
Yeah,
But there
that
was
Jai
no,
Shri Radhe arranged for that.
but there was no microphone needed, right? It's good.
No, there was no microphone needed. Some people were sitting in the back on the stairs and they could still hear. I was sitting back there with Jai Subhadra and we could hear fine.
Okay, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just nice. It was just yeah, and he got to meet like Jai Shri Radhe and Gopa. He knew it was
Yes.
their house.
Yeah, you got to speak with them a little bit.
He saw the kitchen.
He saw he took prasadam in the back. He saw the kitchen and the temple room.
Okay, he took darshan of the deities.
Yes, he sits where you normally sit, Maharaj.
I saw a picture. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Maharaj. Haribol.
Okay, I'm looking down the list. Thank you all for coming. Great. You want to advance, you got to hear. And you got to hear from people you have faith in. That's our process. Okay, thank you. Panchakalpa Tribhyascha